5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
With that, welcome to your Media Mosh podcast. I'm your host, Shane Beauregard, coming at you with all your news, reviews, and previews out to watch on your streaming services, your television, your local theater. Coming at you Sunday night, October the 6th. I hope everyone's had a great week. It has been a crazy weekend. Unlike most Americans, I did not get to see the Joker. I forgot we had a Girl Scout trip down to an amusement park, so all this kid stuff is just... Oof. But yeah, it was a good weekend anyway. At least it wasn't in the 90s, which has been crazy here, down here. It's actually fall weather, so I'm looking forward to it. So I will get back on track with that. But I have something better for you than a Joker review, which you can go and everyone's reviewing that movie this weekend and it's fine. And you're probably asking yourself, what can be better than a Joker review? Well, a 3-pack of John Travolta movies that I will review later on this podcast. That's right. And we're not talking prime John Travolta, whether you think that was the 80s or mid to late 90s where he had that nice run. I'm talking within the last 4 years. I went and picked out some random movies from Amazon Prime and one from Netflix and decided to jump down that hole. But before I get into all that, and I did watch the Netflix original The Tall Grass, which I was actually looking forward to, and I'll review that one in just a little bit. But let's get into some news. 3-pack of trailers dropped this past week. First one was Birds of Prey, which was the first one with Margot Robbie and Ewan McGregor. And I'm not going to lie, the trailer did not look great. It honestly gave me a mix between Suicide Squad and the Batman and Robin movie. Yeah, the shitty George Clooney one. But with Robbie and Ewan McGregor, I'll go see this as a matinee. I mean, as long as I have fun at this movie, my expectations are set pretty low for this one. It's got my matinee money. We'll see what happens. Listen, I'm pretty sure I've seen worse. So, low expectations for Birds of Prey. Second trailer was the new Michael Bay movie for Netflix called Six Underground with Ryan Reynolds. And a lot of stuff blows up. I mean, it's typical Michael Bay, say what you want, but the guy can shoot action movies. I'm looking forward to this one. This comes out later in the year. And the last one I saw, and I didn't even know this was coming out, the new Guy Ritchie movie, The Gentleman. I know Guy Ritchie gets a bad rap these days, but this looks like he's getting back to his roots with an English gangster movie. This one stars Matthew McConaughey, Charlie Hunnam, and who, if you see the trailer, which you should look up, it looks like Colin Farrell is going to be the scene stealer in this movie. I don't know how much airtime he'll get, but it just seems like whenever he pops on screen, he's going to steal some scenes. So that comes out in 2020. I'm looking forward to that one. Go check that trailer out now. It's called The Gentleman. In other news, Eddie Murphy, who will be hosting Saturday Night Live here pretty soon, did confirm that his next movie is going to be Beverly Hills Cop 4. Come on, man. Like, just let that one lie. Like, you're doing Coming to America 2. That's fine. I don't have high hopes for that as well. But just I'd rather see... Well, Nick Nolte's looking rough. I was going to say, I'd rather see another 48 Hours. But Nick Nolte's not looking good. Why don't you just do like The Golden Child 2 or something like that? That was a good movie. To go back to that, well, I just don't feel the Beverly Hills Cop 4. I don't remember what the third one was about. Was that the ABC gang with Bridget? I don't know. Anyway, I'm getting off track here. Random news of the week. I watched a little bit of network TV this week, and even though I do stream DirecTV, which is whatever, AT&T now, I noticed a new KFC commercial, and I watched it twice, and I did not realize Rudy is now the KFC Colonel. That's right. Samwise, Rudy, Sean Austin is now the new Colonel for Kentucky Fried Chicken. Forensic Files. And I only bring this up because it's been around forever, and I probably think I've seen all 300 episodes. New Forensic Files will be coming out in 2020. I forget what channel they're even on, but yeah, I did get hooked on those. So if you're like me, a Forensic Files junkie, 2020, a whole slew of new episodes coming out. Walton Goggins, I forgot to mention this last week. He has that new show, The Unicorn, which apparently is the number one show, apparently for that time slot for CBS. But, on one hand, I want to feel good for him. But he just doesn't look like he belongs on network television, man. Like, he just does not fit that mold. But hey, it gets him out to more mainstream. I love Walton Goggins, great actor. It just seems odd every time I see him for that commercial. No, I did not watch that show. John Berthnall, this was kind of weird. He is auditioning, not auditioning. He is pushing for the role of Little Mac. You remember him from the Mike Tyson Punch-Out game? So apparently they're making that into a movie. I don't know if it's animated or not, because that's the only way this will fit. And usually, hey, I'm all for throwing John Berthnall into anything. Add him to any movie. He just seems really old to be playing Little Mac there. I think that was his name, but someone correct me if I'm wrong. Lost in Space Season 2. Netflix announced is coming out this year, December 24th, so you have your Christmas binge there. It's been so long since the first season, I kind of forgot what really happened there. Todd Phillips, during one of his interviews, said he did the Joker because, quote-unquote, of the woke culture is killing comedy. Now, I don't buy this bullshit for anything. There's ways you can navigate yourself through the woke culture. Just ask Dave Chappelle, Bill Burr, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Big Mouth, and South Park. They're doing just fine. And I just think it's a big cop-out, and just what a pussy Todd Phillips is. And because of the success of the Joker, I'm sure he's going to get thrown more projects. And not to say he's a bad director. So now I'm pretty sure because of the success of the Joker, we're going to hear, and he's going to be around for a lot more. Maybe than he should. And that is all the news I'm going to touch on this week. Let me just double check that. That is all the news. So let's get into the box office. Coming in at number 5, bringing in $5.3 million. It Chapter 2. Hustlers, still bringing in some money. Coming in at number 4, bringing in 6.3. Downton Abbey is down to number 3, bringing in $8 million. Here we go again. Abominable finished second, bringing in $12 million. And number 1 is the Joker, crushing it, setting an October record, bringing in $93 million. Coming out next week, you do have some things to see in the movie theater. You have the new Will Smith movie, Gemini Man. You have the foreign film Parasite, which is getting 100% of Rotten Tomato right now. And you're getting Jexit, which is that new Adam Devine comedy. It's about his Siri app on his phone that kind of takes control of his life and has a mind of its own, her own, I should say. Then, of course, for Netflix, you have the movie everyone's waiting for, El Camino, Breaking Bad movie. So that primarily will be my review for you next week. Alright, so last week I totally forgot to add some actresses to my 50 plus bracket, which I'm still waiting on an official name for that. You know who I'm talking to. But anyway, through some lobbying, some hard lobbying by some listeners, I am now going to be taking Jennifer Lopez off my one line, and it's the only change I'm going to make during this run, because I got so much shit about Jennifer Aniston being a 2 seed that they just lost their damn minds. So, just to appease the masses, I'm going to take J-Lo off the one line. She will be a 2 seed, and Jennifer Aniston will be a 1 seed. And before I announce this next couple actresses, just a note, because I've been hearing this from other people. No, Angelina Jolie did not make my list. If this was circa 2004, yes, she would have made the list. But no, she looks like an anorexic Skeletor. So no to Angelina Jolie, and no to Pam Anderson, because this was brought up earlier this week. And, for me, it's a personal thing with her. Not like I know her or anything like that. She's just too dirty to be on my list. She looks okay, but yeah, my immune system couldn't take her. Like, she would wreak havoc with my immune system. I wouldn't know what I would get from Pamela Anderson in this hypothetical world that I live in. So, no, she's not on the list. So, here are my next 5 thrown into the bracket. You have Cindy Crawford, who is a no-brainer. She is in. Demi Moore still looks fine. She is in. Lauren Holly, still looking good these days. She's in. Terry Hatcher is in as well. And the round out to make number 5 is Michelle Pfeiffer. So there you have it. 5 new actresses added to my bracket. You have Cindy Crawford, Demi Moore, Michelle Pfeiffer, Terry Hatcher, and Lauren Holly. So that gives me 15 right now as we sit. And just a couple noticeable actresses in case you were wondering. I double checked these. They do not make the list because they're not 50. Heather Graham is 49. Someone mentioned Julie Bowen from Modern Family. She is 49 as well. So I cannot make any exceptions to them. Oh, and Eva Longoria is in her mid-40s. So she's not even close to 50 yet. She is also disqualified from the list. And I will drop some more names as we go along. And it'll be fun once I have this bracket filled out. Then we can do the seeding from 2 on. All the seedings there. And I will publish this. I'll probably get some shit for it. But anyway, I'll publish the full bracket on my Facebook page and my Twitter feed. So now, let's get into what I watched this week. My 3-pack of John Travolta movies. Here we go. First one is the 2016 movie I Am Wrath. You can find this one on Netflix. It is sitting at... this one is sitting at 11% critic score with a 32% audience score for I Am Wrath. And this is a straight revenge film. You have John Travolta, Christopher Meloni, and very briefly you have Rebecca De Mornay in this movie. And it is, you name the movie, any revenge movie, this is paint by numbers with really bad performances here. You have John Travolta, used to be in the Special Forces, but now works for car dealerships. And he's coming home from a trip, and his wife, Rebecca De Mornay, pick him up, and they get mugged in the parking deck by a couple Latinos. Spoiler alert, dies. And he is on the hunt, let's say. He does have an older daughter, and he calls Christopher Meloni, who used to be his handler back in the day, now runs a barbershop / underground warehouse factory. One by one, they systematically take one thug out to get information, which leads to a bigger conspiracy on why his wife was killed, which it has to do with this governor in Ohio who is building this pipeline that's killing a lot of people, yada yada yada. But man, Christopher Meloni was Christopher Meloni in this role. But it's funny, like, as I'm watching this, you could catch some of his facial expressions. Is like, kind of, why am I in this movie? Travolta's hairpiece is laughable, and that's what I really loved about these 3 movies. He had 3 different hairpieces in. This by far was the worst one. You had your John Wick moment, but instead of breaking through concrete with a sledgehammer, he just kind of drove his elbow through the drywall of his closet to get his little suitcase full of guns, and he was on his way. During this movie, not only does he say the title of the movie, which I love, but he also gets it tattooed on his back while he's trying to get some information. And it is hysterical. So, geez, I don't know what else to really say other than that. I wish we would have had a little more Rebecca De Mornay. Thrown in here as well, you had your crooked stereotypical crooked cops trying to cover everything up. But this was just bad all around. This wasn't even redeemable. I don't know what happens to Travolta outside of Scientology, why he decides to do all these movies. But I'm going to agree with the critics here. I can't go with the audience score because if he did have more like inventive kills or good action scenes, I would bump this up just a little bit. But this is a hard watch to get through. So, yeah, this one gets a 1.0 out of 5 for me for I Am Wrath. Number 2, you can find this one on Amazon Prime. This one came out this year, 2019, Trading Paint, which is sitting at 0% critic score with a 36% audience score. This is the Vega Brother movie that you did not know existed and you did not know you wanted. That's right, you have John Travolta playing Sam Monroe, an old dirt track legend here in Talladega, Alabama, who now his son, Cameron Monroe, is on the up. And in his way is Michael Madsen, who owns a car dealership in this town and is the legend of racing. Leadfoot Linsky is his name in this movie. You also have Shania Twain. Honestly, that's why I clicked on this movie to watch it in the first place. Shania Twain plays his love interest. So you have good old Sam Monroe running a tow truck service now, running his son's team. As they're racing, the PA announcers just fill you in with all the plot details you're missing, which made me laugh because I'm like, if they're supposed to be PA announcers, they're just airing all the family drama out to everyone in attendance at that certain race. So during the first race, because this pretty much sets up the whole movie, is you have old Cameron Monroe is going to take one from Leadfoot, but the PA sets it in where he's had engine troubles throughout the entire year. So of course his engine blows, he gets mad, he decides that he doesn't want to race for his father, and he joins good old Leadfoot over there, who's now his sponsor, which makes Sam Monroe fire his own son from his shop. And his son, god damn, I forgot, has a nagging young wife. Too young, and just nag. And the first scene with her was so fucking irritating. They live in a trailer out in Alabama. Not Sam Monroe. He actually's put up pretty nice. But no, his son lives in a trailer park. And I think this could be its own subject matter, but I'm pretty sure, like, the one thing trailer park you always see in trailer parks, the bench press out front, is like one of every trailer park has a weightlifting set somewhere in the vicinity of said trailer park. So anyway, she's warning him about going to drive for such and such, but he's explaining to her it's better pay, he has a better chance to win, get him out of the trailer, and she just shits all over his parade. So anyway, this forces Sam Monroe to get behind the wheel and teach his son a lesson. So if you're into NASCAR, and this is super late model series, I think I have that right, and Shania Twain does play his love interest, and we find out later in the movie that his first wife died in an automobile accident. That's what caused him to retire in the first place. So you have that father-son tension. If anything, watch this for the John Travolta Alabama accent, which is great. And Shania Twain looks good. But there's no character development here. And at the end, because, listen, one thing leads to another. Cam is racing for Linsky. Linsky wants Cam to take his dad out. He refuses to do it. So Linsky hires some goon to crash Cam, breaks both his femurs, and it's like, I told you not to race for that guy. He's a little bit of a douche. And they don't really go into why Travolta's character does not like Madsen's character at all. He's just the villain with the top hat and the crooked mustache. There's no backstory to him at all, except for he's a jerk. But yeah, then you have the son recovering from the crash. He makes up with his dad. They build this new car, and they get it ready for the first race the following year. And for whatever reason, they bought this car as soon as the season was over. But they don't really start working on it until 4 weeks before race day, which you get your father-son putting their car together montage with some music in the background. And he wins the first race, and, I couldn't do this because of my dad. But really, when I got done thinking about this movie, I would say the moral is, when I got done thinking about this movie, one of the main takeaways, if you really think about it, is the son is never going to be as good as the dad. Because the dad got out there and was whooping his ass in that same equipment and never let his son win. And then he had to retire again to put his son back in this new race car he built, and he finally won. So really, what message are you sending there? But, and just FYI, there is an after credit scene here with all the family being together. Which, why would you put an end credit scene in a movie like Trading Paint? No one, as soon as that first credit hits the screen, you're out the goddamn door. You're not waiting the 2 minutes, 5 minutes it took for you to see that one scene. So, but honestly, I was more entertained with this movie than I should have been. As hokey and as bad and as just as it was. Yeah, maybe just for the Alabama accent and Shania Twain. I'm not going to crap on it like the critics did, but I will go 1.75 out of 5 for Trading Paint. You do get a good little cameo by the guy who played Turkey Creek Johnson in Tombstone in here. So that was nice, little Cam. You did a good job. Okay, so the last one in the 3-pack, you can find this one on Amazon Prime as well. This one came out this year as well. It's called The Poison Rose. It is sitting at 0% critic score with a 22% audience score. And this one stars not only John Travolta, but Femke Janssen. You have Brendan Fraser. You have Morgan Freeman. Now, first off, this one's set in LA. Well, in LA and Texas. This is supposed to be set in the 70s, which the only reason why you would even know that is because of the dress and the cars. Everything else looks modern, so it just looks out of place to begin with. Travolta plays a down in his luck private investigator that was originally from Dallas or Galveston, Texas, and took off some 20 years ago to move to LA. But he gets a case that brings him back to Galveston, and his one big vice is a pretty girl with a story to tell, because he tells you that at least 5 times through the movie. Yes, he narrates this thing as the movie's going along. So he's going back to his own town, hanging out with Robert Patrick's in this as well. Sorry. And he is the town sheriff now. And you have Brendan Fraser, who is hysterically bad in this movie. This must have been filmed before Doom Patrol, because he looked pretty rough during that TV show. Holy shit. Not only that, it's like he has a gay... what do I call it? I can't call it the R word anymore. A gay disabled accent voice in this. Like, he talks like with a noticeable lisp, like he's femme, but like kind of slow, with a really bad comb over in this thing, and he plays the doctor. So anyway, and now his ex, Famke Janssen, her husband passes away, so she hires him as well. And God, she does look good, but she got some work done recently, and not in the good way, not totally bad, not like the Meg Ryan way, but almost like her cheeks look off now. I don't know why they do this to themselves. So Morgan Freeman's the new big heavy in town. He kind of runs everything in the Galveston area, and this is one of those big cover-up movies. But it's amazing because Travolta's, in case you were wondering, his Texan accent is just like his Alabama accent. But kudos on his hairpiece for this one. I think this is his best hairpiece in this movie. But yeah, this movie, you'd figure with that cast, it would be just watchable. But it's supposed to be a 70s noir detective movie, and it's anything but that. And this was probably the worst of the 3 because of the cast. Like, why Morgan Freeman? I get Famke Janssen. I get it. I totally get Brendan Fraser, why he would do a movie like this. But come on, man. Morgan Freeman in 2019? So, I gotta lean... I'm not going to give it a 0, but I'm going to give it a 0.75 out of 5 for The Poison Rose for John Travolta. So, in summation, I guess my favorite one was Trading Paint, followed by I Am Wrath, and then The Poison Rose. I might do this in another week or two because there's 4 actors, and I've discussed this ad nauseum before. I think the next 3-pack of bad movies I'm going to do is from John Cusack. Now, I don't. Can someone please tell me, was he blackballed in Hollywood, or did he do something wrong? Or because he's the one that kind of blew my mind. I get Nicolas Cage because there's rumors of him being bankrupt and he had no money. So I get why he's doing what he's doing. Travolta, I don't really get either. But John Cusack surprised me because not like he was ever an A-lister. But man, I mean, he's just turning out direct-to-video movies like nobody's business. So I am going to take on John Cusack, and probably next week. So let's move into the last movie I watched this weekend. And I was anticipating this one just a little bit. This is The Tall Grass, a Netflix original movie based on the short story by Stephen King and his son Joe Hill. This one was directed by Vincenzo Natali. I bring him up because he's directed one of my favorite cult movies. That is the 1997 movie Cube. Since then, he's went on to direct notable shows such as Luke Cage, Lost in Space, Westworld, and Hannibal. So right now, this movie's sitting at 40% on Rotten Tomato by the critic score. And let me give you my quick rundown because spoiler-free review here. I'm just going to give you my quick rambling thoughts on this movie. This movie starts out with Becky and Cale, their brother and sister, and they're traveling cross-country. They're in Kansas. Becky's about 6 months pregnant, and they stop on the side of a road only to hear someone yelling from the field of tall grass from across the road. They're both hesitant about going in there to find and help this young boy out, but they end up doing it anyway. They get separated, and they can't find their way out, and that is the basic premise of this movie. Throughout this movie, you do have different people that they come to intersect, like the young boy Tobin that they do here at the beginning of the movie. He's an integral part to this movie, and then you have Patrick Wilson, who is the standout of the movie, playing Ross. And he's the only actor that I didn't even have to write down, but the other ones are not worth writing down. The problem with this movie, and it is beautifully shot, it's a well-shot, well-directed movie. That is not the issue. It is that I don't know what kind of book this was, short story that King and Hill wrote, but it does not translate well to a 2-hour movie. I started losing my interest about 30 minutes in. First 35 minutes, it's nothing but yelling. There's a lot of yelling in this movie when they're trying to just find each other. It's just, it got boring, and about the 45-minute mark, I head to the cabinet and started pouring myself some vodka drinks, and that did not help. Because really, the action doesn't really pick up until the last act. And again, this is labeled a horror movie, and I did not get that vibe. It's more of it could have been and should have been like a 45-minute long Black Mirror episode or Twilight Zone episode. I think it would have worked a lot better if this was really condensed. You didn't have a lot of big time scares. In fact, this movie got confusing the longer it went on. They introduced this time loop. That was a major plot point in this movie. And also there's, this is not a spoiler, but there's a big alien rock in the middle of this field that we don't get any origin to or backstory of. You get a really terrifying performance by Patrick Wilson. Like I said, he's the standout. But this, I don't even know what to say without going into spoilers. This movie just had a lot of plot holes. So I would say the screenplay did not hold up to what was originally written, I would have to say. As beautifully shot as it was, I actually had to wake up the following morning to rewind the film to see how it ended, because I don't know if I just blacked out or just went numb watching this thing. So falls short of my expectations, but because of the way it was shot and some of the performances in this film, I'll give The Tall Grass, I'm going to go ahead and give it a 2.0. But if you've been looking forward to this movie, if you're a horror fan, and I use that term loosely, if you want a good thriller, I'm not going to, just go check this out yourself. You may like it more than I did. I was just highly disappointed with this movie. So 2.0 out of 4 for me for The Tall Grass. And that's it, folks. That's all I have for you this week. Go check me out on Facebook, Media Mosh. Go check out my Twitter handle at Shane Media Mosh. Then go to the Apple Podcast Store. Please download, share, give me a review, and then circle back and go check out the missus, who is handling all the Arguing Myself platforms this month. So go check her out on the Twitterverse, the Grams, and the Facebooks. Until then, have a great week. Get caught up in the mosh.